What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the stimulus package updates, stimulus check update, daily news, pretty much everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., money, investing, the stock market. Remember, the new videos come out here every day on a daily basis at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates. I will keep you up to date with everything going on here in our country. So in this video, we're going to hear from Senator Joe Manchin. We're also going to hear about the potential vote of the stimulus package. We got a lot to cover in this video. And I'd like to thank today's video sponsor, OneRep. Did you know that anyone can Google you and find your home address, your phone number, your family members, how much your home costs, and tons of information about you? This type of information is available about you, your friends, or your family members all across the internet. Data brokers and people search sites pull information about you from public records and publish it on their websites. They also sell so-called background reports to anyone interested. This is super scary, and I found the best solution to this problem, and it's OneRep.com. OneRep is a platform that removes people's private records from more than 100 search sites and Google. Not only can cyber criminals use your information to steal your identity, but sometimes the information on these websites can be incorrect, possibly ruining your reputation if it's something incorrect about you, like a criminal record. By using OneRep to protect your personal data, you'll have peace of mind, knowing your information isn't out there, and you're less likely to fall victim to identity theft, and you'll get less spam. So take a moment to protect your privacy. Sign up with OneRep with the link down below in the pinned comment and in the description below. And right now, viewers of my channel get an exclusive offer with 60% off a 1-year plan. So go to deal.onerep.com/Jimmy or click the link down below. Okay, here is Senator Joe Manchin on the next stimulus package and his thoughts.
Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Senator, it's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, Mika.
Let's get right to it. Many top Senate Democrats are warning the loss in the Virginia governor's race proves the party needs to pass President Biden's agenda as soon as possible. Take a listen to this.
Congressional Dems started tearing off. We had been able to deliver infrastructure and reconciliation in mid-October. He could have sold universal pre-K, affordable child care, infrastructure, creating jobs.
Terry McAuliffe has been saying for weeks that his fate was tied to the progress of negotiations here on Capitol Hill, and there ought to be a clear message to my party and all those who support it to get the job done.
Congress has to deliver. We need to get it done, and as one who will be running for re-election in 2022, I need results that I can show the American people.
Senator, are your colleagues wrong in their assessment?
No, we should have gotten something done, Mika. We had the USICA bill, which is a China compete bill. We passed with about 90 Democrats and Republicans from the Senate. It's been sitting in the House for quite some time. That's $250 billion, tremendous amount of research and technology to compete with China because we're standing still while China's moving forward. We have a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, which truly for 8 to 10 years will rebuild America. We've let that go on for 30 years and we haven't done a thing, Mika. I agree with my colleagues. We should have gotten those two done. They're both sitting over in the House. But to have these bills being held hostage when we have a much larger bill that we need to work on, we just need to work in good faith. So I don't know why we couldn't pass or why the House members couldn't pass the two bills they've been sitting on for quite some time. And then let's sit down and work through. Let's get a CBO score. I think what the election showed us, Mika, was basically people are concerned. They're concerned about inflation. They're concerned about the debt. No, we don't talk about it, but they are concerned. I can tell you back home in West Virginia, gas prices are enormous. People are having a hard time driving to work and paying $20 or $30 $30 more to fill up. They're going to the grocery stores and getting 30% less. They're about ready to face a very bad winter, we're told, at much higher prices. So yes, I think we should be upfront, honest, and transparent with American people and do what we can afford to do.
So
Don't
you've
do
just
things that we
described.
can't.
So you've just described the realities surrounding exactly why these bills need to get through. What is it? I've got a checklist here. I'll write it down. What is it going to take to get to yes?
Well, to get to yes is first to find out what the real cost is, what we're talking about. We're using 10 years of revenue to basically supply 1 or 2 or 5 or 6 years of services. And that's not the true cost. The true cost would be 10 years to 10 years. So if you have 10 years of revenue, then you would think that if we put a program in place, that program would last 10 years too. This all needs to come forward, and we need to have a CBO score. The Congressional Budget Office truly puts a score to this. But Mika, the only thing I would say is the rush to this, and I've said this long before, I truly believe that we need to slow down. I truly believe that we need to wait and see if inflation is transitory. See how much worse it may get. Hopefully it doesn't. People are saying both. So I'm willing to work through it. I've told my colleagues, they all know where I stand. I've been trying to be as transparent as humanly possible in the things that we all agree on. And when we have such a divided Congress in the House and the Senate, and I think the votes in Virginia and also in New Jersey showed how divided we are, Mika.
Okay, but you talk about cost, and I know there's different sets of time that could be debated, but you agreed to $1.75 trillion, yes?
Sure. 1.75. The president and I came to an agreement on 1.75. I was working on 1.5, as you know, and I felt very strongly about that. The president was working very hard, and we had good conversations, we had good dialogue, and we had good negotiations.
Okay.
That's what it's all about.
Okay, so what needs to be in there? What needs to be in there, or what needs to be out of there?
Well, let me tell you the things that we can agree on, that we have agreed on. Child care. We agreed on child care. We've agreed on pre-K 3 and 4. We agreed on in-home services. We agree on basically climate bill that basically uses technology, not just eliminating certain fuels, but technology to use them cleaner, so the world will use them cleaner, because the world is using more fossil than ever before. And if the United States of America doesn't find a pathway forward and a breakthrough in technology, then the world will get much worse, because 90% of pollution will come from Asia, which is going to be really from China. China has 3,000 coal-fired plants. We have 500. And my environmental friends will make you believe that the 500, and they're the cleanest ones in the world, the 500 are polluting the whole world. They're just not being accurate.
So you heard Senator Joe Manchin say that he did agree to $1.75 trillion with President Biden. So you heard him directly say it there. He has agreed to the top line $1.75 trillion. That's very important. You heard him say him directly there. You also heard him agree on several key factors there, pre-K, childcare, and climate. He hasn't mentioned a couple other things yet, which we'll get to here in a moment. Here, you'll hear him say it now.
So there are reports that the House is putting back in paid family leave. Is that a deal breaker for you?
Well, there's so many things that they're throwing back in, because that's their constituent. I mean, they have a caucus over there, and they should basically work the bills as they see fit. I don't begrudge anybody for doing that, but they shouldn't begrudge me for saying this is not the right place for this piece of legislation. I believe in family leave. I believe people should have that opportunity. But I've seen states that have already done it in America. I've seen countries around the world that have already done it. Can't we find a better position for this and do this in a bipartisan and in a process that works? Because here's what we're talking. We're talking about unpaid family leave now. That's going to add an awful lot to the debt that we already have at $29 trillion. They talk about Medicare expansion. I would love to be able to expand Medicare if we had our financial house in order. But when you have a report from the CBO that you're going to be basically insolvent in Medicare by 2026, and you want me to add more on to it that'll make it insolvent quicker? I've got people in West Virginia, Mika, that's their lifeline. Their lifeline is Social Security and Medicare, and I'm doing everything I can in my power to protect it and get those on solid financial grounds so people can depend on it. Then we can expand.
So you heard him. He sounds like he's still got a lot of reservations. The House is pushing forward with a vote nonetheless. We'll get to that here in a moment. Remember, the House can vote even without Joe Manchin, because Joe Manchin's in the Senate. The House and the Senate are two different organizations. We'll get to that here in a moment.
Willie.
Good morning, Senator. It's Willie Geist. Want to drill down a
Willie,
little bit
how you
more on
doing?
paid family leave. I'm doing well,
Sure.
thank you. Speaker Pelosi yesterday again said this is going to be in the bill. Paid family leave will be in the bill. The proposal we're hearing at NBC News is for 4 weeks. President Biden on the campaign trail in 2020 made this a central promise of his campaign. We're going to get paid family and medical leave. So can you explain what you mean when you talk about this? Are you saying that it's important, but it should be its own piece of legislation, or are you saying that you object to it altogether?
No, I do not object to it at all as far as the concept of paid family leave. People should be able to have family leave as they need it, but also we should be paying into it from same as we do Social Security. It's employer-employee participation. I'm talking to my Republican colleagues and friends and my Democrats. We can work a piece of bill out in a regular process that doesn't put a burden on taxpayers, doesn't put a burden and also more debt. Because when you start the programs, you never stop them. You just don't. And we're trying to get something that's sustainable. Willie, let me tell you, anytime we do something through reconciliation, it's done only by one party. The Senate was not designed to work off of just partisan politics. The Senate was designed to work off of bipartisan politics. And when you do bipartisan, that's what's made us the most stable country in the world. We don't flip back and forth every time somebody changes power. But what happens now when you do reconciliation, the next time there's a power switch and Republicans would have control, they're going to switch back, the same as we're switching the tax code. There wasn't a Democrat. One thing we all agreed on, Willie, there wasn't a Democrat that voted in favor of the 2017 tax cuts, which we thought were weighted to the high-end earners. Let's fix that. We're talking about everything but how we really fix truly the tax code that gives and puts our country back on a trajectory that we can be responsible with our debt and manage our debt. That's all I've been saying.
As you know, many of your colleagues have said Joe Manchin holds all the cards here. Whatever he decides to do determines the fate of this package that could be defining for President Biden. So, Senator, do you see a possibility that this $1.75 trillion proposed package, the Build Back Better package, does not pass, that it goes away altogether?
I don't know. You don't want to look at anything. I've always tried to sit down and work out a compromise. That's my mode of operandum as far as a public servant. Look back at my time when I was in West Virginia in the House of Delegates, state senator, secretary of state, and also governor for 2 terms. I wanted people to come together, find a common solution, and move forward so we could all go out and speak about it. I've always said this, Willie, the best politics is good government. You do something that the people really need and the people really want, and they like you to do it together, it'll last. When you do it, we're trying to do and shove things down where there's so much disconcern on this, it makes it much more difficult to have any lasting legs to it. So, it's just, this is all about the United States. It's not the divided states. And we seem to be pushing ourselves further and further apart. What is the rush? Basically, all the things, Willie, that we're talking about that's in the reconciliation bill that we really like to do, and a lot of things we really like, have pretty much been covered in the American Rescue Plan, and that's going to go on for 2022. So the urgency today to do something quickly before we know exactly what it costs, the ramifications it'll have, and what we can all afford. There's only 50 of us. We're in a divided. These big things that were done in Congresses before us were done with major majorities and whoever was in control. We don't have that now. In my state, I represent the constituents in my state the best I can. Right. And right now I'm doing the best I can by basically representing them and also looking at what's best for our country and what we can afford.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts about what Senator Joe Manchin said. Do you think he sounds reasonable? Do you think he sounds unreasonable? Yeah, so he talks about a lot of different things there. He talks about like paid family and medical leave, which Nancy Pelosi just added in the bill like yesterday. He says he's actually for it. And it's a really big thing. A lot of first world countries have it, where if you, for example, if your family goes to have a baby, you, or say you're a mother, or your husband or the father goes to have the baby, not he, but goes to have a baby as well, you can get paid time off and the government will pay for it. Okay. Or if you have a severe illness, you catch the virus, anything like that, right? Mental illness, anything, something like that, right? You can get up to 4 weeks paid family medical leave, and the government will actually pay for it. They'll pay a significant portion or even all of your salary, depending on how much you make and what gets pushed through. But Joe Manchin thinks that employers and businesses should pay into a fund, kind of similar how businesses and employers pay into Social Security. They pay a half of a portion of Social Security for workers. Okay. So if you think about that, he's saying that people should or businesses should pay into a fund for paid family and medical leave instead of just having um, basically the government pay for it all through these tax increases. So it kind of is what he's saying, kind of, where these tax hikes, and honestly, there's so many different things about the bill that we really haven't seen a bill yet. Okay, so they're talking about voting on it tonight, way late tonight. As of time of this filming, they're not on the floor even starting the process yet. So I'll show you this here. This is from Fox News. Pelosi says the Democrats are proceeding with the Biden spending bill, but no update on vote timing. The speaker argued that the spending bill would be solidly paid for. And you can see here, Pelosi vows to bring the infrastructure, the social infrastructure, which is the stimulus package, to vote on Thursday, possibly tonight. Uh, we'll have to see if this happens. It's going to be if it happens tonight or tomorrow. And we've seen this in the past, and a lot of the representatives don't like this, where they're going to print the bill out, wheel it out on a cart because it'll be over 1,000 pages, like, this many pages. It's heavy. They're going to wheel it out and then basically vote on it an hour or 2 or 3 later. One of these deals where they're going to be voting on it 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And they've gotten a lot of criticism from that in the past. And Joe Manchin, now this is going to be in the House if it even happens. Okay. And Joe Manchin is completely against this. Now, remember, he's in the Senate. The Senate's not going to be voting tonight. The House would be if it happens. And I'll update you guys on this in the morning, either way. But Joe Manchin wants to see a Congressional Budget Office score. He wants to basically have the Congressional Budget Office look at the bill, do the math on the bill, give a readout, basically do the math and make sure it's paid for, how long it's going to take to pay for it, and give basically everything, all the details on it before Joe Manchin's paid for it. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says that the House passes the bill, that he may call an emergency session to vote on the bill in the Senate, potentially right after. But Joe Manchin might not want to vote for it right after because he might want to see a Congressional Budget Office score, which he hasn't seen yet. There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts going on right now. Who knows what's going to happen? The House also might go to vote on right after or the next day the physical infrastructure vote, which could pass right away. Now, remember, that bill has already passed the Senate. So that bill, once it passes the House, just goes right to the president. Okay, that's the $1.2 trillion physical infrastructure, roads, bridges, clean drinking water, airports. It will create millions of jobs over the course of the next 8 to 10 years and will provide billions of dollars to all 50 states and millions of jobs, and will be really good for our country. It's going to provide billions of jobs and millions of jobs and billions of dollars. And Joe Manchin really wants that passed. The plan is that once they pass the stimulus package in the House, to then vote on the physical infrastructure package. But the stimulus package then still needs to pass the Senate. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things here, and then once it actually passes the House, then maybe we'll actually get to see the bill. I mean, honestly, these House representatives are maybe not even going to see the bill until like right before they vote on it. Because remember, just yesterday they added in the paid family and medical leave. The day before they added in the prescription drug pricing, which is going to lower the cost of prescription drugs for tens of millions of Americans. The SALT tax deduction, the state and local tax deduction, which many Democrats from high tax states like New Jersey and New York are saying It has to be in there because they want it in there and they're not going to vote for it. So we don't even know if that's going to be in there. And I mean, we have multiple different advocacy groups pushing to add a fourth stimulus check in there for adults as well. But honestly, we really haven't heard much about that. We do know that there's going to be multiple, or not multiple, but monthly checks for children for one more year called the child tax credits. Those are in there for one more year called child tax credits, $250 to $300 per month will be in there for one more year. There is expected to be no more or no restrictions on them. Originally, Joe Manchin wanted the income thresholds on there and a job requirement on there. Those are not expected to be on there. So there is monthly checks in there for children, but as of right now, I have not seen any word from any senators or representatives for a check for adults in addition to the child tax credit monthly checks. There is supposed to be an extension of the adult tax credit, the earned income tax credit, where you can get up to $6,000 tax credits on the earned income tax credit. But again, we'll have to wait until we see the bill and everything goes through with that. I will keep you up to date on that. Um, Also, I haven't heard on what is going on with the $800 stimulus debit card. And I literally just tried to look for it as of today, and there has been no word on that either, with which would be the medical and dental for seniors, which would be an $800 stimulus debit card for seniors that you could pay for medical and dental. So honestly, there's a lot of things that are up in the air that we're going to find out here when they actually write the bill and release it to the public, which it's going to kind of be ta-da, then they're going to tell us. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of these House representatives are not even going to know about it until they literally print the bill and then they're going to possibly vote on it. Now, I don't know if that's exactly how it's going to go down, but we've seen that in the past where they literally printed out the bill, wheeled it out on a cart, and then they voted on it an hour or two or three later. And I remember representatives like AOC complaining, saying, how can you do this? You print out a 1,400 page bill and then you want us to vote on it an hour or two later when it's not even enough time to read it. Okay. And a lot of representatives were mad about that. Now, I'm not sure if that's how it's going to go down. Again, we've had other representatives that were saying we want time to read the bill. But as you've seen those headlines, they're planning on potentially voting on it tonight. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen tonight. As of right now, it has not happened as the filming of this recording, which is only about an hour or so before the video actually goes live at 8 o'clock. But I mean, if you've been paying it, if you followed my videos for a while, you know that a lot of times when they vote at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. When they do some of these votes, they literally vote in the middle of the night. They do some of these long, long night votes. I don't know why they do them so late in the night, but sometimes that's what they do. Now, I also want to note here that they've added in the prescription drug pricing here just 48 hours ago or so. That's going to help tens of millions of Americans. Anybody who basically pays for prescription drugs is probably going to pay less unless you're on a brand new prescription that has come out recently. You're probably going to be paying less. So that is a stimulus type provision they just added in. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer mentioned that the cost of insulin is going to go from $600 per month to $35. So huge saving is there. So again, it's a stimulus type provision that is going to help out tens of millions of Americans. And paid family medical leave was added in just yesterday. So they are adding things in. And I do want to note that the Senate could significantly change the bill. In the third stimulus check package, they did that as well. They had to remove the $15 an hour minimum wage because they didn't have enough votes. And the Senate parliamentarians said it couldn't be in there. They actually tried to outvoted anyway, or tried to vote it in anyways, because they can just overrule her with 50 to 51 votes. And Senator Joe Manchin said that the stimulus check for the third stimulus check should be lowered from $100,000 threshold to $80,000, but they added in that $10,200 unemployment tax-free provision for people that were on unemployment that made the first $10,200 of unemployment income tax-free. They added that in after the bill was written and the House had already passed it. Okay, so even after the House passed their bill, they added that in on the Senate side. Okay, so and then Joe Manchin actually had a lot to do with that. So, by the way, if you didn't catch my other video from like yesterday, the IRS is literally still sending those out. They just sent out, I don't recall the exact number, but they just sent out a whole bunch of them, uh, like this week. I think it was like, I don't remember the exact number. It was like 500,000 of them or something like that. They're still sending those out. Those unemployment tax refunds are sending out literally, just a batch was sent out this week. So if you're still waiting for those, check your bank account, check your mail, because they are still literally sending those out. That's how far behind the IRS is. So I'll keep you up to date on everything, the stimulus package, what's going on here with our country. And remember, there's going to be another stimulus package after this. This is basically half of what they want to get done. It's about 1.75 trillion of the 3.5 trillion. President Biden has confirmed there's going to be another package after this, maybe the other 1.75 trillion, and possibly a big Social Security raise. They just introduced two brand new bills within the last week to raise Social Security benefits by very significant amounts. So I will keep you up to date here on everything going on here in our country, daily news, and everything you need to know about. So make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't yet. It's free to do so, and I will keep you up to date. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest stimulus video next. And this video is about those two new Social Security proposals to raise Social Security benefits that hopefully will be here in the next package. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.